Good news is there's hope for you, Private. Hope in the form of glorious combat. Battle is the great redeemer, a fiery crucible in which the only true heroes are forged. The one place where all men truly share the same rank, regardless of what kind of parasitic scum they were going in.
1, 2, 3!
Hey,
Hey, I know that guy. Wait, I know these people. I
We
know
are
this
back.
guy. I know this
oh,
guy.
wait. That's a good one. Mine wasn't even from a Harrison Ford movie, but I've made it a goal now recently to learn that monologue. So today's my day of repeating it until it becomes second nature.
Guys, I didn't know there was an opening line because I just got here. I've been working, but I was going to tag that with you memorized it because remember you saying that. You're like, I got to know that. Like, what does he say? He says something glorious combat. Yeah.
I did read it this time, but soon I will have it down. Yes, my daily. You guys know what that from. The chat knows what it's from. It's we who don't know half the
knows
shit.
what it's
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, we don't know half the shit we're talking about.
Now, Paul, as a movie guy, what's the first line you're like, I gotta memorize this, or what's the first lines that like you just started getting down and knowing from movies? You know, because you and I have a lot of movies memorized, and and that's how we conversed when we first met too. We're like, oh,
yeah.
This guy's on the level. He knows when I say, so I got that going for me. He knows to fill in, which is nice.
Yeah, I still always get confused. The Trading Places one you always want to do. Looking good. What is it? Feeling good, Lewis. Looking good. Reggie. What is it? Billy Ray.
Looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good.
Feeling good. All right. I got to get the order on those correct.
You know,
and I almost called him Reggie just now from 48 Hours, so I even screwed up my characters. All right, I'll get that one down.
You know what's funny about that? I just had this thought because in the Schmodown, when we ended the Schmodown, we were the fan favorites, and I had printed 2 shirts. One for when I walked you into a match, one that said "Looking Good, Billy Ray." I would make the entrance, and then you would walk in after me, and it would say "Feeling Good, Lewis." And I made those 2 shirts, and I've kept my "Looking Good, Billy Ray." And then, as I was getting rid of some stuff, I go, well, I don't need this anymore. I'll keep mine until it goes kaput or whatever. And so I throw it out because I live close to Hollywood here. So I throw it out on the sidewalk and people pick stuff up, so people that don't have clothes and socks.
They do in Burbank. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I am waiting for the day because I just saw there's a guy that lives in please
tell me a homeless person with that shirt, please. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Because I would love for you to do that good in the world and have it go like that.
Yes, to come across the homeless guy that's wearing the Feeling Good Lewis shirt. Anyway, that's all I could do for him today, but
Yeah. So it has been a minute since we've been on here. Adam's been busy.
A lot going on.
Work. I went out of town.
We have summer jobs, Paul. We have summer jobs.
Yeah. But we have a lot to report then today, and there's been busy behind the scenes stuff. So if you like the Ford Fiesta Live is back now, hopefully next week, and ongoing again for a while at least. 2 episodes of the finished, completed Ford Fiesta podcast are ready to go. So good Lord, we've had Frantic as the last one we did for a while now. The Working Girl episode with the great William Bibiani will go up, and then the long gestating Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade episode, where I think we were both still in the Schmodown when we recorded that, because we talk about it in the episode.
Yeah. Well, as I've gotten to editing old episodes, I was like, I used to cut out things that were ultra relevant as we got a little behind. And then I remember the last one I worked on, which is now a couple months ago, I was like, oh, I should, cut that part out. And then I started listening. I'm like, no, we're talking about clearly stuff that happened that day. So I went back and put back in the date because you began that one with the date. You're like, it's Friday, April 5th, 2022 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm putting that back in at this point. I'm like, just know that.
Yeah, we, I think we're talking about having just seen Top Gun Maverick. How many times we were going to see it. Yeah. Mara was like, I got to see it 13 times.
Future
we need a follow-up now to find out if she did. But Yeah, so those are coming out before the end
Well,
of the
thank
month.
you, Paul.
We have some shorts thanks to the hard work of our intern. We've had a couple of interns this year. We'll have another one in the fall, turns out. And they've been cutting shorts, so taking moments from these live streams and making shorts. So if you are in the shorts world of YouTube, and I don't know, maybe we've crossed it over finally into TikTok, those will be out there to digest as well. And they'll probably go on X as well and Instagram because that's easy.
Yeah.
Just stick them on there too.
Yeah, cool. That's great because each of those shows, I mean, we write that script, and I've been saying since the beginning, I'm like, well, this is made for shorts because when we narrate the script or whatever, and of course we get off on all kinds of tangents, but I'm like, our scripts are made to be divided into like 8 shorts because it's just like there's a lot of setup punchline stuff.
What's funny is the clips so far are from our conversations. Like Bibiani had some great thoughts.
I saw, yeah,
yeah. The same with Brendan for the Presumed Innocent episode, which is also almost ready to go. So that that'll be like a clip of Brendan saying something interesting. So
well, that's good advertising too, because like it's like, oh, okay, I'll go listen to that. If Bibiani's on that, yeah, I'll go see what he has to say.
And we can also go back and then cut the jokes if we want to for just being jokes.
Well, when I finally get some time coming up here, because I've had a few summer jobs and I'm going to be able to do stuff like that. I'm excited to cut down some of the because you can release those like 5 in a row and they'll tell you the story of Frantic or whatever, but each one stands on its own and then it'll eventually start to shuffle when you get all the Harrison Ford movies or whatever.
I never answered your question. I think the first movie I memorized the long speech, and the reason I brought up everything I just brought up is because we reference it in Last Crusade, how well I knew Nicolas Cage's bread monologue from Moonstruck. We talk about it with Mara. So,
okay.
I think that's the first one I probably did, memorize fully. I could still probably do most of it today. You come from my brother Johnny. Okay. Well, they say bread is life. And I make bread, and I sweat, and I shovel dough out of this stinking hole in the wall. And I've paraphrased it, but there's monologue he does. It's just the best.
That's just a funny one to do.
Yeah,
I remember, learning a lot of lines from movies and stuff. Not that I tried to, but I just had watched them enough. Like Fletch, I could probably go several minutes into Fletch because he's got that whole open monologue. But I remember the Dan Aykroyd one from Ghostbusters, and I was already getting Ghostbusters down quite a bit. But I was like the problems with the car when Aykroyd pulls it up and he asked him, I was like, I got to watch that again. Monologue. It's like shocks, brakes, brake pads, linings, new steering box. Everybody can relax. I found a car.
I think the one that came after that would have been Do the Right Thing.
Oh,
my buddy Chris and I would quote that movie all the time.
Yeah.
Boycott sales. No, hell no, motherfucker. Here's what you ought to do. Boycott that barber that fucked up your head. That's, of course, the great Giancarlo Esposito is bugging out years ago.
Boy, somebody should put him in a Marvel movie as a villain.
All right, well, let's get to it. So there's so much. First, speaking of Marvel, do you want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine now, even though it has nothing to do with Harrison Ford, but if we don't talk about it, we will die?
No.
Or should we get to the Ford stuff?
Paul, we are doing a show called The Ford Fiesta, and so I don't want to. I want to make sure this is all connected to Harrison Ford. So let's talk about the trailer for Harrison Ford's new movie, which I saw before Deadpool and Wolverine, and then maybe I'll segue out of that. I wasn't going to watch it in any form until I saw it in the theater, and then I totally wasn't even thinking when I was watching Deadpool and Wolverine. I was like, here it is, and it's on IMAX, and it's the biggest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, same here. They played before me too.
Ooh, fantastic.
Isn't it though?
Boy, and you want to get you ready for Deadpool, a Marvel movie. You show me the trailer for that. Oh my God.
And it's just more proof of how amazing Marvel is, that breadth of the tone of Deadpool and Wolverine and Captain America and Brave New World can exist in the same universe is just awesome.
It's so impressive. It's so impressive because, and I'll put this out ahead of the Deadpool and Wolverine because this stands for that too. I think a lot of people forget nobody used to know how to make these movies.
True.
They couldn't make 2 in a row without blowing it, right? You couldn't get 2. And some people would say they couldn't go 1 Batman in a row, but a lot of people like Batman Returns, certainly now. That's because people like reclaiming superhero movies more than enjoying them in their initial release, but that's more on that later. But I mean, they didn't used to know how to make these. And the definitive proof is all the versions of Deadpool before we got a real one, and then even got a Marvel Universe one. And it's like, the first one is like, because these movies used to be apology movies, like, hey, we're not going to put any colors in the costume just so you guys don't freak out if you don't know.
The fact that they addressed that is glorious, just
insane. The apology era is fully over.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Captain America. First of all, they were never going to make a good Captain America movie to begin with. I'm an old school fan. I go back to Christopher Reeve. Superhero movies have always been my favorite thing. Even the bad ones. I was there on opening night for Elektra. I loved Elektra, actually. But I saw Daredevil 3 times in the theater. It's like, nothing you could say about those movies being bad would ever stop tickling the fact that I'm actually seeing them make a Daredevil movie, flawed as it might be. So, I mean, my goodness. The fact that there is a fourth Captain America movie, and in that movie is Falcon, who was literally never going to be seen in a movie. There's one thing I was sure of. They were never going to make a Wolverine movie, but I was dispelled that in 99. But I just thought, that's just never going to work. You're always going to have to be a Superman or a Spider-Man or something that's much more popular than that. Captain America, like you could imagine the apology version of that if Marvel hadn't made it, of Captain. We'll just call him the Captain, and no blue in the costume. We'll put him in a black outfit. We'll just call him the Captain. Comic fans will know it's Captain America, but we want to make sure we sell overseas and all those sort of things that...
Right, no A on his head. That's just goofy.
No A on his head. My God. Yeah. So, and the Falcon I loved my version of the Captain America that I read as a kid was Captain America and the Falcon. They literally rechanged the title or changed the title. And I've always loved Falcon. I mean, what a cool thing. I mean, flight has always been the coolest power anyway, but the fact that Captain America has this guy that's like, he's got a hawk on his shoulder and he's got the wings. And then, anything you could do as a kid, if you put a blanket over your shoulder and tied it around your neck, you're Superman. But if you held it out in your arms, you could be Falcon, or you could be, that sort of stuff.
Now, I love the cinematic universe, and I'm blissfully free from, well, that's not how they did it in the comics, because I never read the comics.
That also, good point. Elektra also has the Terrence stamp of approval. No movie with Terrence stamp in it can be unwatchable while he's on screen. That's a
point.
Rule.
Good point. But so the whole thing where Cap's got the wings and the whole deal, that's all in the movies. Like Falcon became Cap, kept the wings and did the combo. I love the hybrid Cap Falcon hero that's going to be that was in the TV show and that will be in the movie.
How great is that? Yeah. Oh my God.
And that's done, and that was done in the comics.
Yeah.
That's right out of the comic. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know they're trying to give new things to the fans and recognize old storylines as well.
And that's the genius of what they do, though. And I will say this, and people will laugh at this statement, but when I think of these statements, Paul, and you've been privy to a lot of my personal theories on movies, and sometimes I'm a little sheepish about it, and I go, well, I think this, but then you know what? I go movie after movie after movie, and I go, no, I'm right about this. I am right that no Marvel movie cannot be enjoyed by someone who knows nothing going in. They are so good at that. They are so good at that. And you'll go, Deadpool, Wolverine, it's all the references. No, it's not. Because that movie is 3 jokes a minute, and 2 of those jokes have nothing to do with anything but comic timing in the immediate scenario. But anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And while you were monologuing, I pulled this.
Wilson. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
They said lose the mustache or lose the election. You and I haven't always agreed in the past, but I want to make another run at making Captain America an official military position.
And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
Not going to run too long and get copyright strikes right out of the gate.
God forbid we advertise it for him. God forbid we advertise it for him.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So mad. They'll get hey.
How dare you spread the word and build the hype?
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, Ford falling right into that role, very nicely. William Hurt was great. And he comes in with the same line. Sort of, what's that?
Still getting used to the new look.
Yeah.
Great line.
Yeah.
That's a mimicking. Somebody put him back to back of Iron Man 2 when the new Rhodey comes in, right? The first line, which I never caught until someone put it online, and I've seen that movie a dozen times, was his first line is like, "Look, I can't remember what he says. I know
they addressed
whatever they addressed.
They addressed it, and it's in the world.
Yeah,
like it's not out of the world because he goes, "Oh yeah, the mustache." So like it's a comment, it's a meta comment and a story comment.
Yep.
They can exist as both. It's not just goofy.
Yeah, it's so great.
They do
but Harrison
so well.
Ford, oh my god! And the thing is, okay, so obviously this character, which is a deep cut comic book character, you're likely to put it in a Hulk movie. Certainly at the time Marvel started, again, it had one foot in the black jet in the black leather era. And it was making a path in a new era where it's like, no, we're not making any apologies for superheroes. Like that's our advantage actually. And nobody else ever thought being able to adapt comics was their advantage until Marvel. I don't think they said, no, of course we're going to go Civil War, so like the Hulk, he's in there, but of course you kind of expect that because you're like, oh, a military general. It's not something crazy. Like he's not fighting the leader, and at that time it was like, yeah, a little more grounded sort of thing. But then, the through line through Civil War and the way that character has been an antagonist exactly like he is in the comic books. And now it's a more formidable foe. It's Harrison Ford is going to try and destroy the world.
Comments from well, first of all, Harrison Ford was at Comic-Con this year for this film. Absolutely true. It was a big deal. And here are some thoughts. I'm proud to become a member of the Marvel Universe. I've been watching fantastic actors having a good time, and I wanted a piece of that. That was Harrison's quote. Kevin Feige's quote, just when I think my nerdy life can't get more complete, I hear Harrison Ford say adamantium.
Oh, what a great quote. That's exactly it. That encapsulates exactly what's so great about it. Adamantium. That line has never been said in the Marvel Universe.
Here he is. Yeah, he comes on stage and he does a full Hulk freak out.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you know what? One thing we've learned about rewatching all the Harrison Ford's movies, he loves to ham it up, man. He's having a good time. Like this is something, I mean, talk about all the phases of his performances and stuff like that. Like he just gets to go absolutely nuts here after playing the guy from Air Force One, like after later he's going to go nuts,
Yeah, let me try and play something else. I hate sharing screen, but I can't download some of these.
That's okay. I'll fill the time here. And
I'm sure you will.
And obviously, Paul, he has been experimenting with super soldiers. I mean, they hint that in the trailer and everything like that. But he is experimented on himself as well, just like the Abomination, except that he's the Red Hulk. And I love that they're so upfront with the Red Hulk. And I saw a few people saying, oh, man, why would you blow that surprise? You know why, guys? Study your Marvel movies. That's going to be revealed in the first 30 minutes. And then you're going to go, I don't know what the rest of this movie is. Everything I've seen is in the first, has been in the trailers in the first 30 minutes. But I think, hopefully it'd be cool if there's, we all know, and the movie will know we know because Marvel's so good at that. Marvel's so good at not hiding something we already know, So like, we'll know that there will be a Red Hulk that someone will fight, but we won't know it's Harrison Ford yet. And then they'll make that reveal, and that'll be a good one.
All right, here we go. Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah. Oh, he's the greatest.
What? You played the U.S. president before.
Anyway, yeah. So that
Wow.
Pretty cool arrival on stage. Now I always thought I would never. It was kind of rumored that years ago. I was like, oh, he doesn't come to Comic-Con. He doesn't do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I might have been there for the first time. It was Cowboys and Aliens. He came out in handcuffs, like, as if he was objecting,
Okay.
from being there. And then later on, I heard there was an Ender's Game panel, so I made all, I did whatever, shifted schedule around to get there for that, saw that. Obviously, Saturday at Hall H, when he's finally involved with Marvel, this is the hardest thing to get into. So I didn't even worry about going down on Saturday. I only went on Friday. But
go buy some bootleg DVDs. Let them tell you about it.
Yeah, and now he's like a regular show up there. He seems to be
Amazing.
fine doing it, having a good time.
Yet another phase for Harrison Ford in the Marvel universe, playing a superhero. Like when I first heard that they were putting him in there, I'm like, what a great thing for him to play Thunderbolt Ross. But I never thought they would do the Thunderbolt Ross becomes the Red Hulk thing or be so upfront about it. I mean, talk about a movie that has a lot of surprises for us. They're upfront with the Red Hulk twist. They're saying it.
Yeah.
I mean, that means we're going to find out immediately and then in the first half hour and then go, well, I have no idea where this movie's going now.
The crap you don't know about is piling up. Yeah.
Such good storytelling in that Marvel universe. They're so good at it.
Let me just show you some other stuff from my trip down to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Met this Scarlet Witch.
Oh, cool.
I thought she was super cool because that ball was literally hovering between her hands. She'd hold it and then make it hover and then grab it again. So I don't know how she does that.
Man, I got to tell you,
yeah.
my little sister got into, and she grew up with the X-Men cartoons and everything. She was a huge X-Men fan, and I just thought it was so cool. She became a huge Scarlet Witch fan. I think she went for a Scarlet Witch several Halloweens in a row when she was like a teenager or whatever. And I was like, how cool is that? Like, the Scarlet Witch is such a deep cut that, like, that's so cool. She's going Scarlet Witch, and then for Scarlet Witch to become, the lead of movies, and that's not a comic book Scarlet Witch. That's the movie Scarlet Witch. Like, Scarlet Witch has been enough of a presence in the movies and TV shows for now like 5 or 6 years. That's so great.
Yeah, I mean,
love that headband.
Yeah, this was really cool. And she was like, this no big thing. She was juggling the spheres, like, you do ball juggling, but you kind of hold on to them, you do that thing where you just do this. And then she'd go, and it would like hung in the air. And I don't know. Me and this guy, second from the right,
hey,
Craig the Barbarian, we were like, what? What is even happening with this? We ended the day at the American Comedy Company Theater to watch Mark Ellis crush it, as he does. So that's how our day ended at the con, which was cool.
What a good crew. It's so nice, the people we know as well. Like, I'm jealous that because Craig texted me. He's like, are you going to be at Comic-Con? Because I ran into him last year, and unfortunately I couldn't. But that's what a great crew. Yeah. Oh, and so you went to go see Mark do stand-up.
He opened for Chris Hardwick, and I had never seen Chris Hardwick before. Chris Hardwick rocked too. That was a full night of the two of them. That's it. Mark, then Chris, and they were both great.
Whoa, that's awesome. I mean, holy crap. Like, he is synonymous with nerddom and Comic-Con. That's awesome that Mark did.
I guess he started in stand-up. I've only known Chris as a host, right? Singled Out, and then all the
but he
stuff
had
with Nerdist and then Talking Dead and all that. But I never knew his roots, but they're stand-up, and it showed because he was super funny, super confident, and got, crowd in the palm of his hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he's good about the geek jokes and stuff too. It's like, I'm always amazed when I see Ellis do stand up that I'm like, how in the world does he get a laugh out of a Return of the Jedi joke? And then he'll like throw in a couple other movies. He doesn't go full movie because you and I know that's a tough thing. It's not every crowd. But I'm always amazed. I'm like, ooh, Ellis is getting jokes about movie references. Okay, maybe there's hope for the rest of us.
And it's never a Comic-Con TC Boomer from Battlestar Galactica. That guy is at every con shaking hands, signing autographs.
Oh, wow.
This guy cosplayed as me. But that was fun.
The resemblance is insane.
And then got into Hall H and saw second half of a fun Q&A with Antoine Fuqua and Roland Emmerich. They were cool. And one of the cool things they did this year that I haven't seen
the
before
Odd Couple theme for anybody who didn't know.
It's from the 70s. Tony Randall isn't helping define the anyway.
Yeah.
So this was Q&A with the crowd, but also people recorded questions, and they were all celebrities. So it's fun. Josh Brolin was like how do you guys deal with actors and get the best performances out of them and all that kind of stuff, which was cool to see that.
Yeah.
To hear they didn't know who was asking the questions till they played, so it was all fresh, and
That's
it's a
good
fun
idea.
new angle I hadn't seen before.
Say what you will about some of the movies of either of these men. But they have so many bangers. But being in the same room as Antoine Fuqua and Roland Emmerich, I don't care what you think about some of their movies. It's like, holy crap, those two are legends as directors go.
Yeah, and they were both pretty charming too. I enjoyed that. But then the big final thing of the day was the Alien Romulus panel.
Oh,
and that's Fede Alvarez, who is the most entertaining Q&A I've seen. He's profane and he's brash and he's funny, and I really enjoyed him. And Kaylee Spaney is your lead actress in that, who just played Priscilla in Civil War, so her star continues to go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know her yet, but
yeah. And everybody got to leave that Q&A with one of these.
Oh, I saw that around your neck.
Yeah, I
was like, what? Wow, they gave you a big face hugger?
Yeah, they handed out 6,000, so you can wrap it around your head, wrap this around your neck, and you got eye holes, so you could walk around with a face hugger on your face
that
all day
fantastic.
If you wanted to.
And Paul, I don't have to tell you, at one time that was a very obscure reference.
I know, right?
Remember the first time someone made a reference to facehugger, or somebody made like a model or something, or you're like, oh man, yeah, you know what that is?
Yeah, and they're all over the place in the trailers they showed. They only showed a brief glimpse of an alien, but that's hilarious.
The greatest CPAP.
I do have CPAP every once in a while when I need to sleep. That's hilarious. Yeah, you want with it? Well, they had them attack at the end of the Q&A. Fede was in the middle of answering something, and the lights went out, brr, 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 and then flashing lights, and then little facehuggers ran around the front of the stage, and a guy came out, and he had one on his face, and then a thing burst out of his chest. They brought it, which was really cool. Right. So points to them. And now it's a lovely living room decoration until my fiance tells me to put it away.
Yeah. Well, she's going to get used to it.
And then I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and this was in the lobby at the LA Live.
Holy what?
Movie theater. So pretty cool.
Which theater's that?
Across from the Four Seasons, right downtown.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool.
The Regal LA Live.
Oh, okay.
So that was a pretty cool life-size alien.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. All this geek culture stuff it's like mind-blowing that Alien is still in our world. Like that was done with. They were just never going to do that again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because they said, Fede, we have a question here from a big Alien fan, and it was Ridley Scott asking a question. Rank the Alien movies. And everybody's like, whoa. And he did. He's like, he didn't have balls. He's like, no, I think 1, 2 are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then he liked, I think he liked Prometheus.
What's the one after Prometheus? That'd probably be my third.
Alien 3, the Fincher one. He might have said that 3. But I forget how he actually ranked them. But just the fact that he did it, I was like, oh, that's good. You didn't like. I mean, the guy is so
funny
brash
coming from
ballsy.
Ridley. Yeah,
like he doesn't care if he pisses off whoever the guy was that made Alien versus Predator Requiem. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's yeah. I mean, I couldn't. So I went to the IMAX to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and my schedule, my plate has been a bit full. I went back home to visit a relative who's ailing and is no longer with us. But when I came back, my sketch troupe Schadenfreude all decided to take their summer vacation and rent a house, and everybody got to hang out, and all of our friends who live here all came by. It was the greatest time, especially coming back from like a downer, about a family member. And so I come back and I'm with all these people, and I realize that the two of the kids that I've taken to many Marvel movies, Justin's kid, I have a photo of him as a little boy of seeing the first Guardians, and he knew all that stuff. And he also was going to Halloween as like a little tiny Magneto, a very cute tiny Magneto shot of Justin's son.
Mini Magneto.
And so I was like, okay, I know you guys are all on vacation, but does anybody want to go see the Deadpool and Wolverine, the newest Marvel movie, with me at the world's famous Man Chinese Theater, or TCL Chinese Theater? 2 blocks from my house, And so they're like, okay. And we found a 9:40 a.m. one. We're like, perfect. That way we won't really miss any day or pool time or people hanging out and stuff like that. So we all got it first thing. And then special appearance, special cameo in life by Paul Preston. There he is. There we are about to go in. And there's Paul leading a tour of people. I couldn't believe it, Paul, because I texted you and I said, hey, everybody's in town. Justin, all the people are in town. Here's the address. Come see us. And you go, oh, I got to give all these tours and sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's okay. We'll catch up or whatever. And so without any coordination, at 9:40 in the morning, we're there to see Deadpool and Wolverine. And here comes Paul with a giant tour of people. And I get a tap on my shoulder and I turn around and I go, get the hell out of here. What are you doing here?
Not my favorite kind of tour to give. It's a bus tour. So, mine, as I've said before, is my favorites are the ones that I customized for people that are personal. Private. So this was like, it was good to see you too. Cause I'm like, these are a bunch of kids probably, pretending to take photos while checking their TikTok, If I had a TikTok locations tour, they would have loved it, but I don't. I can't go into people's houses.
It is funny. I feel like such an Angelino, if they use that term out here now, because Steve's daughter, Steve Schmidt, who's been on our show, the James Bond, we had a James Bond conversation with Deirdre, and all Deirdre wanted to do was go to Erewhon. Do you know what Erewhon is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, right there by the Grove, right?
Did she want the shake, the smoothie?
I'm assuming. What is the shake? Well, you clearly know this more than I do, Paul. What is the shake, the smoothie?
I took and should plug my friend Brian Rada's Beverly Hills walking food tour.
Oh, really?
So he took my tour. I took his tour. He's going to take mine, and then we're going to start just cross promoting. It's a very enjoyable tour. You walk just the whole Beverly Hills area, see a few movie locations. Obviously, they're going to show you the Beverly Wilshire, Pretty Woman. They'll show you City Hall, Beverly Hills Cop, and now Axel F as well. Yeah. But they stop at a bunch of food places, and one of them is Erewhon. I'm like, we're stopping at a grocery store, but this Haley Bieber smoothie is such a big deal.
Big deal, huh? I don't know. I'm too old for this, and maybe I never was the right age for this. But
I get Justin Bieber's wife, I guess, sister.
Oh, okay. Haley Joel Bieber? No, I
was promoting it so much that she got it like famous, and so now people go in and they line across the store to get the Haley Bieber, and I had it, and it was damn good. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay.
Part of the tour, but so I know about this, and it's an expensive place otherwise.
Right. It's West Hollywood, Beverly Hills. It's the thing, but well, maybe I steered him to the wrong one. It wasn't Beverly Hills. They went to the West Hollywood one, so maybe she was like, "This isn't it." I don't know.
There's one in North Hollywood, so they're trying to get out there.
No, but I was like, it made me feel like, oh, I've been here long enough that just a grocery store has become famous, It's, he's like, do you know where Erewhon is? I go, yeah, it's by the Grove. And he's like, oh, okay, she really wants to go there. And I go, it's almost like hearing her go, she's got to go to the Vons. She's got to go to the Vons on, Pico or whatever. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, crazy seeing you guys. And let's talk about it. So Deadpool and Wolverine.
That explains it.
Okay, there you go. Thank God we have, laws in place to allow that. Deadpool and Wolverine, quite a movie. We had the privilege of having the great Rhett Reese on our show many years ago when Deadpool was coming out. And then he was around for Deadpool 2. And so he and his partner Paul Wernick wrote Deadpool. Reese and Wernick wrote Deadpool 2, and Reynolds got involved himself because he was doing so much sort of writing on the set anyway. We can hear a lot of these stories, by the way, on the Countdown to 3 Deadpool show. My buddies Sean and Justin and I have been doing countdown shows. So we look at Deadpool, we look at Deadpool 2, we'll get you prepped for Deadpool and Wolverine. Even if you've seen all those movies, these shows are fun to go and watch and hear us talk, because the making of these movies is insane, especially the first one.
It's all love, pure love got these things made.
Yeah, but time, so it took a while. So Reese and Wernick wrote Deadpool. There were a lot of jokes they came up with on set the studio wouldn't pay to have them there. So Ryan Reynolds paid out of pocket to have Reese and Wernick on set, and they worked on all the jokes and script
And
for
that's
the
why
script
they're
together
so
as they went
funny.
along. Deadpool 2 comes out. They're now allowed on set. And Reynolds is credited now as a writer. So by Deadpool and Wolverine, they're on set. They're executive producers. So is Reynolds, of course. And Sean Levy and I think a fifth writer are now all contributing to what is a super dense, packed with jokes, references, and action
Dense.
comedy movie. Yeah.
Impossibly dense for an action comedy, impossible amount of action for an action comedy, impossibly dense for a comedy. I mean, you're talking 3 jokes a minute. This is airplane level jokes. And for anybody that thinks it's constantly like, oh, I'm in a movie or whatever. No, that happens at exactly the right points. There is a way to pace out repeating jokes so that they don't get tired. I would cite, for an example, Big Lebowski. If I told you the same joke happens 3 times in Big Lebowski, you'd go, oh, that must be awful tiring. No, you pace them out. They are then called callbacks. There is then a rule of 3 that goes through the whole movie. And as you set up 100 jokes and they all come back, that is a dense movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now it's just Sean Levy too, who, if you remember, directed Night at the Museum, and then I think was behind Steve Martin's worst era of hit movies that were terrible, like the Pink Panther reboot.
Oh, that's right. That was
and
Sean
the
Levy.
Cheaper by the Dozen, I want to say.
Sure.
And so I'm like, who is Sean Levy? Then he gets involved in Stranger Things, kind of gains some cred directing there, comes into this now and just tears it up. I mean,
and Free Guy, I forgot, because
correct.
Working with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. And
right. So that was actually his first burst into like, okay, he's got big budget comedies down, but they seem to be landing a little bit. Although I really enjoyed Night at the Museum. I was always disappointed.
He earned his way into higher budget comedies. Yeah. I mean, something like that was a surprise hit.
Yeah. So, but now he's just, he's going to be next level here on out. I mean, I'm curious to know what his next project would be.
He is an extremely good comedy director. From Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, I haven't seen many of his movies, but I know what makes good comedy and what doesn't. We've worked at that. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but compared to most, I know a lot about how comedy is put together. I've written enough, you've written enough, we've written enough together that when you watch how that movie, how Deadpool and Wolverine is executed in so many ways, it's so impressive. It is so impressive, the variance of the jokes, so that they do never get tired unless you go in going, oh, I got to go see this stupid fucking movie. All right, well, maybe you didn't like it then, I guess, right? How much do you think I like Casablanca? I go, all right, put on that stupid fucking movie. Maybe didn't set myself up to win there, but it's in black and white. Nobody's in black and white. This is bullshit, whatever. What an unrealistic movie. But anyway.
I've been outside. It's in color.
Color. Oh, that's the fakest movie you ever saw. That Citizen Kane. Or where was I going now? But
Sean Levy directing.
But I mean, I was just like, I had no opinion on Sean Levy before it. I mean, I might have literally never seen a Sean Levy movie.
Well, he made another one called The Atom Project with Ryan Reynolds. It's a Netflix only. That's why you haven't heard of it. And apparently it was okay, so it's like, all right, he continues to be okay.
Oh, we did see that movie, actually.
You did?
See that. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, actually.
But Free Guy in this good. Now, I think he's just showing off his finest abilities, I think.
But it is so impossible to make this movie. I mean, in any era. But, I mean, certainly it takes guts to say, we're putting Wolverine in a yellow costume. And that's so the Marvel stamp too, because I've shared this before, but back in the day, you would wait for it. You'd go on Ain't It Cool News and you go, oh, when are they going to release the first look at Iron Man, or when the first look at Spider? We're going back further. And you go, oh, the X-Men, oh, when are we going to see what the costumes look like? Oh, okay. It's black leather. It's kind of like Batman, kind of like, we don't want to make sure nobody knows it's a superhero movie. We'll put him in black leather. But then I remember when they released Iron Man and you go, it looks just like Iron Man. Like, that's not usually the case. Like, I expected the old Punisher, like black jacket with a little golden and red, that's a nod to the comic books. Or like, we're so beyond that. You know what the nod to the comic books is? A full-on Deadpool and Wolverine movie. It's all Easter egg. And it turns out you can get a really good plot out of nothing but Easter egg. The Easter egg being books. Like the book. Here's how he looks in this, and here's how he looks in that, and here's all the other characters. And and movie's just so filled with joy. My God, it's very, very, one of the old criteria is, sometimes you see a movie and you're like, this movie is not interested in being a movie. But the biggest compliment I can give is this movie loves being a movie. And Deadpool and Wolverine loves being a movie.
It does. Yeah. And I want to I'll put this up. Most people watching probably seen it, but I don't want you to go away from the show. Just turn the volume down for a second. We'll cover some spoilers and then come back. I'll try and keep it brief, but I have to tell you my favorite.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of variant characters, and they live in the void, which is hilarious that they're just cast away and you'll never see them.
Genius.
Or they came out and there's no reason to see them again.
Genius.
My favorite of which was Channing Tatum as Gambit. Not just because he shows up and he's funny and they make the bits with his dialogue, but he then proceeds to kick Gambit ass all over the place in a way that we absolutely should have seen by now. And it's just such a shame that we haven't. And
It's
I was
such
like,
a
that might be
vindication.
that might be the best moment of the whole movie for me. Just watching Gambit whoop. I mean, all four of those.
And you get
characters.
to watch a comic accurate Dreamcast version of Gambit. Totally kick ass alongside the Ultimate Wolverine. And I can't believe they made a real Deadpool movie, times 3, the third one,
Yeah, but it's like it almost those four are in the void, and they get to come back and be like, take what you want about the gag of them and the jokes they play, where it's clear Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds didn't get along, and they make a joke about that from Blade Trinity, and there's
they do? I didn't even catch that.
they did. Yeah, he says, yeah, he didn't like me very much, something like that. He made some joke about
I
it.
totally forgot that.
I only saw it once, but
yeah. Same.
No,
I saw it twice, but
and then of course the Electra stuff. She makes some joke about Daredevil. She's like, doesn't care about Daredevil showing up.
all right.
Those are jokes and all, but then to see the four of them kick ass all over the place, and be heroes, and they're gonna die. The snake thing, whatever the smoke snake is, as you call it, is coming to get them while Deadpool and Wolverine jump through the Doctor Strange portal. So. But we brought them back so they could be heroes one more time,
I know.
or for the first time with Gambit. And just watching him kick ass, I was like, this is the best. Like, they didn't go, here's our joke. Anyway, back to that. Like, they really delivered on the return of these heroes.
Yes, they did. Because it is a Marvel movie, and they are very good at putting heroes on the screen, not just comic heroes, but heroism and heroics on the screen. And, David McKay's knocking it out with the jokes here. I might have to put that up instead of spoilers. But you know what? And here's the thing. Like I said, superhero fan, especially live action superheroes from way back. I loved when they would make the jump. And when I could see, even in cartoons, I'm like, it's moving around. That's so cool. The Superman TV show, George Reeves. I couldn't believe the Superman's walking around doing stuff. I love this. For most of our lives, they weren't very good at making superhero movies, but Blade might as well have been Avengers Endgame for how little superhero movies you could see and how little superheroism was in them. Blade was a big deal. It was like, oh my God, they made a good superhero movie. Now, granted, they weren't able to make a colorful costume, and they had to go for like, well, you know what? Vampires. We know how to make vampire movies. Hey, if we took a vampire movie from a comic, you guys wouldn't go, comic book movie, I ain't going to that. So they were able to do that. And then, Blade 2 took it to another level. But I was there on opening weekend for Elektra because they made an Elektra movie. I can't believe they made an Elektra movie. Is it good? Yeah. Is it great? No, but there's some great sequences in it. And of course it has a Terrence stamp of approval. So there's Gambit, him, who am I forgetting? There's 4 of them, right? X-23. But seeing the 2 heroes that held me over while Marvel was working its way into making exactly what I always wanted to see 36 times in a row.
I hadn't thought of that. They picked the
Elektra
perfect
and Blade
ones.
and Johnny Storm, Elektra, Blade, and Johnny Storm. And
biggest laugh in the movie.
You guys held me over. That is a great joke.
It's the biggest joke. It's the biggest joke in the movie, I think. You're going to say it, Avengers, flame up. And I literally, bah!
And you know what? We'll stop dropping names so you can take the spoilers off there. I think everybody knows because but I'll tell you one thing about this movie is it is actually spoiler proof because you can put up all the photos you want of Gambit and
I just took it down.
you can put up all the photos you want of Howard the Duck and Cyclops
previously
and
non-seen X-Men. Yeah.
But you can put all the photos you want of the cameos from this movie. Cameos is the wrong word, but the co-stars of this movie, and the movie is still spoiler proof because I don't know if I posted this, but the movie I commented, somebody had posted a scene of Wolverine and Deadpool in the car, which is just what I call the planes, trains, and automobiles scene, the hotel scene for planes, trains, and automobiles. That's what happens. He goes off on him just like John Candy and Steve Martin, and they are in the middle of a planes, trains, and automobiles riff. I just couldn't believe all this was being pulled off. But I commented that there's almost no way of spoiling this movie because it in sequence, it's just you are so wrapped up in each thing, which succeeds so well that you never think, oh, I can't wait for that one part, because the movie is 100% that one part.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is 100% that one part. It's all so good.
Yeah, from the opening line. Yeah, that's funny. And the line before is one I was telling you about that references Ryan Reynolds.
I don't like you. That's what that means. See, it went over my head. Now it's genius because, guys, you are allowed to watch movies twice.
I can't wait
for
to see it
anybody
again.
I've seen it twice. And
good.
But I'm going for a third time soon. I don't know how to break this, but Cam posted this earlier here. That I'm going back for a funeral, and but the Airbnb is right next to the movie theater I went to as a kid, and where I went to go see Superman 2 as a kid in the same theater, and they are now showing Wolverine and Deadpool, and I'm like, well, I'm going to make a little time to go to my childhood theater.
That's cool.
And go see Wolverine and Deadpool, but I don't know how to ask anybody else in the family. I'm like, this is an inappropriate time to say, anybody want to go see Wolverine and Deadpool?
and let me just also say, after what we have, the Marvels,
great movie,
Eternals. Let's say specifically Eternals and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The tone of this movie was due. Marvel knew it. Marvel delivered just like they delivered on Ragnarok to revive two very serious Thor movies, and let's have some fun instead. So the tone, and who's going to spoof Marvel better than Marvel? What are we going to have? Freeberg and what's his balls do it? Those two guys? I mean, they're going to be we're superhero movie. Meet the Spartans. No, no one's going to spoof Marvel better than Marvel. And the fact that Feige went, go for it,
and they did
do anything you want,
and they did. It's a Mad Magazine parody.
What he says. He says to somebody who shows up in the movie, hey, welcome to the MCU. Came at a bad time or something like that.
You're coming at a low point.
Coming at a low point. That's it. Like just that, the multiverse isn't really working. They bring all this stuff up.
I know that
it's all chatter you've heard online. Of course, it's all working to the tune now of $850 million that Deadpool and Wolverine has already made worldwide since in 2 weeks. Not to mention, the shows the shows and movies aren't really failing all that much. Maybe one or here
that's
or there,
just
but
something people say. So people are going to say these are. I look at the box office returns for the Marvel movies, and I'm like, because they always say, Marvel's when's Marvel going to make a comeback? Marvel's in such a down period right now. I mean, it's just chatter online. People have to say it. I mean, you have to say it because you can't just go, these are great and they continue being great. That just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. You don't sound like a critic if you do that, right? You can't say all these movies are great, everything's great. You're not a critic then. You got to go, well, you better earn my love.
And whoever is struggling through that, let me just tell you, you're not a critic anyway. Stop it. You haven't done the journalism. You haven't done all the stuff that's required. I mean,
well, that's the thing. And you know yapping. What? And I don't know, we know some very good critics, like Bibbiani, Dan Merle. And I don't think Bibbiani liked the movie. And that's fine. And you know what I do? I just didn't read his review of that. I'll read his review of everything else. I just don't. It's okay. I don't have to. Eventually, I'll get around to why he didn't like this. But those people obviously are critics. But somebody said the greatest thing, and I think I retweeted it, which is don't confuse critics with people just saying stuff on Twitter, because everybody has started calling every criticism on Twitter a criticism. And I'm like, no, there are critics and there are just people saying stuff, because so I think it's a lot more people saying stuff. And I actually don't know what the beef is against this movie. I could guess, I could make up some. I know what people tend to say, but I ain't looking it up. I'm not interested in anybody's negative opinion on Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't need to be set straight, that's all. Yeah. I'll catch up with the next review for our friends, Dan or whoever, I'll catch up with the next movie. I'll see what you think of that. Something I have also less invested in, and something I am less certain is a masterpiece. Yeah.
And the
on
likes
a lot
of
levels.
And the likes of Bibiani, or I don't know Dan Murrell's opinion of this movie, but if it's negative, the likes of those two and folks like them, it will be delivered respectfully. And
they'll back it up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, of course, those guys, that's why they're great critics, is they always back it up. And, both of those guys, like, or any of our critic friends, or Whitney, or any of those guys that, I'll disagree with them all the time. The reason they're great is just like Siskel and Ebert. You could disagree with them, but you'd always watch to see what they say. And you always go, okay, I get that. But, it's good to know the other side of it. I disagree with you, Gene Siskel, so,
mostly,
but, gosh, there's more to say. Oh, okay, hold on.
There is? Oh, okay, go ahead.
12 last points about Deadpool and Wolverine. No. But I mean, first of all, it is a Mad Magazine parody, right? It is because I'm obsessed with the Zucker and Zucker style parody, and I've always been shocked, as I've written my own parody screenplay, superheroes parody screenplay. I'm sure I've talked to you many times before, but it's occurred to me in the last few years that nobody's really done the airplane version of, and they still haven't, but but the fact is, there isn't a Seltzer and Freeberg trying to make a superhero movie. Oh, they did make a movie called Superhero Movie. That is not good. Yeah. Not good. And you know what? It's a parody of all the superhero movies up till 2002. But that's, and so as I'm watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and I am just my head is just filled with everything. I mean, you're catching the pace of the joke, you're catching the references, but you're also just catching the attitude, and the attitude is so accurate. It is not apologizing for being this impossible to make movie, because but anyway, but I couldn't believe, I was just like, they are doing a Mad Magazine version. I mean, that's when you read a Mad Magazine parody of the Exorcist, the Exorcist,
Dead Poop, yeah,
Dead Poop, yeah, the Exorcist. Marvel used to have a movie, a comic called Not Brand X, which I used to be an advertising thing, but they call theirs Not Brand X, and I think it was the Exorcist. So this is the
X-Men.
Yeah, there it is. It really is, and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it. And just like when you would read Not Brand X, or that they would have all the extra superheroes there that they were making fun of and stuff. And I love that stuff. And I'm like, wow, they really did the Not Brand X without calling it that, I thought that was so cool. But now I'm trying to speak objectively and failing, because of course, Wolverine is one of the greatest superheroes I read in comics as a kid. When I discovered Wolverine and that X-Men, which I had not read in a long time, or I'd never read actually, when the classic era, 85, 86, 87, I'm forgetting the writer's name, but the classic era of X-Men, and started hearing about that. And so I read my first issue and I go, oh, well, this Wolverine guy is awesome. Oh, no. I know what it was. Secret Wars was the first time I was introduced to Wolverine. And then I would go to 7-Eleven and I would look at that month's X-Men. And if I didn't see more than a couple pages of Wolverine, I put it back. And so all my collection of X-Men is just ones that have a lot of Wolverine in them. But, the fins on the head, the superhero mask, I mean, I don't want to belittle other struggles, but there is a sort of thing where superhero movies were not allowed to say they were superhero movies, and one key thing they could get rid of was a mask. Once you put the mask on, people are like, I don't know, that might be a little hanky.
Well, we talked about the move from the black costumes they wore in the likes of 2000 X-Men onto colorful stuff in Iron Man, but in between there was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where he had I remember specifically
Yes.
the scene in the middle of a bright blue sky day festival with colorful balloons was a red Spider-Man being chased by a green goblin.
That was cool, right?
And I thought that was really cool. But sure enough, by the second one, there must have been enough testing where it's like he has his mask on too much. We get a lot more of Tobey Maguire's face the whole time.
Get that mask off. Get that
Exactly.
mask off. Yep.
Yeah.
I know. Get that mask off. Yeah. Enough with the mask. And that's what was always a radical thing too, is that, and it was obvious. And I've told you, there's certain superhero movies that play like they were written by studio notes. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom reads like a compilation of studio notes. And don't do this and don't do that. And don't do this and don't do that. And be sure not to do that. And you can watch the movie and you go, wow, they didn't do any of that. Just like the note said. But you know, one of those, clearly the Spider-Man and taking the mask off thing. That's what was always so cool about Dredd, which made no money and buried that, but he never took the mask off. And when the first Deadpool did that, or second Deadpool, and I'm like, they are leaving the mask on a lot. They know that's part of the bit. And they really got Ryan Reynolds under there doing the comic delivery with the mask on. That's kind of gutsy, you know?
And another thing we've been talking about in the, you know, researching the making of these, if he doesn't like a joke, he can change it later because you don't see his mouth move. So it's like
Brilliant.
They changed stuff, they added stuff, you know, they did all that kind of stuff. And here's a relevant JPEG.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's great. That's great. That is relevant. Oh yeah. So thank you, McKay. Thank you guys for filling that stuff in. I can't always think about my next point with that and remember all that stuff as well. Oh, there you go too. All right, there's something else we haven't talked about, Paul.
All right, this is no spoiler, so we can talk about it. Obviously, you must have read comics that have a through line for how Robert Downey Jr. could play Tony Stark and play Doctor Doom, or is it simply just Stark is dead? We like Robert Downey Jr. We get him in here again to play another character.
I think
I'd be curious to see where this goes because I don't know.
Paul, the most radical move is just that.
Yeah.
Hey, let's have Robert Downey Jr. play it because, as David McKay points out, and I didn't even occur to me, he never takes the mask off. And
he never does? Because I seem to remember in the early movies, Julian McMahon showed his face for a bit and then became Doctor Doom.
You're talking about the 20th Century Fox Fantastic Four? Yeah, they made him take his mask off a lot, just like Tobey Maguire.
Adam, talk to me about the authenticity of that films and its and how heavily it leaned on the comic.
Now, you know what? It's all we had, Paul. It's all we had. But I also notice, and this is personal theory, but I think I'm correct on this, that Kevin Feige enjoys not doing with the movies that blew it before. And I do not think now that David McKay has said that, Doctor Doom is not going to take his mask off, and that will get a lot of complaining. But for fans who go, that was pretty cool that they did that. And it's Robert Downey Jr. And because you're not going to cut in like Iron Man and see his face, you know, they're not going to do that because no, the idea is that Dr. Doom is so hideous that he can't show his face. He's Darth Vader. You know, if you can go a whole movie with Darth Vader not showing his face, and I believe they did 3 of those, you know, and I mean, at the end, he shows his face, but I mean, if you could do that and Darth Vader was the inspiration for, or Dr. Doom was the inspiration for Darth Vader. Yeah, you're right, David. They're never going to take that mask off. That is exactly what's happening. Here's the other thing about that I put together. They announced the Fantastic Four, and Robert Downey Jr. is not a part of that cast. So there is going to be a Dr. Doom in that movie, which takes place in the 60s. And then we're going to get Robert Downey Jr. as, I don't know, the older Dr. Doom from that movie. You know, maybe someone else plays him in the Fantastic Four and Robert Downey Jr. never has to take the mask off. I think you're right, David. He's never going to take that mask off because we were just on that topic about how, Marvel ain't doing that Sam Raimi, you know, or the Sony dictated, not Sam Raimi. He wouldn't have needed to do that, but Sony's dictation, you know, Sony, the producers of Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter and Morbius.
They also do just like their actors because Eben Moss Backrack, who's playing the Thing, was in The Punisher. He had a character in the Punisher TV series.
Oh, okay.
You know? And someone else.
Yes, you're right. You're right, because
someone else had a crossover there too. I'm forgetting, but
because well, and that was the thing too when they cast Chris Evans as Captain America. I was like, he's already played Johnny Storm. Nobody will care.
But I guess technically, the Punisher role was for the Netflix series, even though it's now in the fold of Disney Plus and Daredevil's shown up in She-Hulk. You know, it's not. I guess you could say it's separate, so you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. I mean,
But I
Ryan
can't even remember
Reynolds
that character's name, but it was a big character, and
Ryan
I liked him
Reynolds.
in that when he showed up on the bear. I was like, I like this guy. Happy he's the Thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Boy, they're going to do that movie so good because they're just so excited that those were, and they had to have enjoyed the failure at trying to make a Fantastic Four movie. Again, nobody knew how to make these before Marvel. Why can't we give them credit? That's what's so funny is I haven't read any of the negativity on that, but I'm like, when did they not earn your trust? Like, where did this come from? Like the Doctor Doom announcement, and everyone's like, "Oh, Marvel's fucked it up again."
You know why they don't? I'll give you two more reasons why that's not going to be screwed up.
Yeah,
Anthony and Joe Russo. That might have been my favorite announcement on the day. Now
right.
I hear they're bringing back McFeely to write. Maybe perhaps not Marcus and McFeely both.
Okay,
but that's a key
what if Marcus
combo.
was the talented one?
But that's the key to these being great. The combo that handled Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, probably the three best in my opinion. Maybe Winter Soldier as well. I mean, they just handled the best movies.
Paul, should we get John Ford and John Wayne to make the Searchers? We're gonna make the Searchers. Who should we get? Should we get John Wayne? No, fans will complain that we're desperate. I love that complaint. Oh, they're so desperate. Are they?
So what's next? Captain America: Brave New World, and then Thunderbolts, like immediately after that, and then
Thunderbolts is gonna blow.
Then there's a bunch of talk, like then Shang-Chi 2, maybe people mentioned, or
maybe.
So who knows? Yeah, but either way, I'm psyched.
No, that's a pretty good point. Anchor beings. I love the premise of an anchor being.
Yeah, no doubt, it's true.
But oh, sorry. No. I'm back on Deadpool and Wolverine, Paul. This movie's a perfect movie.
You had mentioned Darth Vader, so I was going to transition back into Harrison Ford, and just play some stuff or show some stuff that I keep getting. That'll be good too.
Yeah.
Just show some stuff that comes across my feed or people text me, and I come here and I share them with you. Like this. This is fun, right? Filming Return of the Jedi.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
You're gonna die here.
You're going to die here, It's convenient. I used to live here, You're going to die here, Yeah, boy, I'll tell you. And take this off for a second, Paul, because I got to say that.
Okay.
We got the Boba Fett action figure.
Sorry, wait, I didn't mean to do that.
That's okay.
I'm not a cat. All right, hang on.
Hey,
how do I get just you up there? I was going to give you this. I was going to give you the floor. You wanted the floor, you got the floor.
I will take the floor. Kids, when I was a kid, many, many years ago, all you got was that brief moment where Boba Fett flew and then he got killed immediately or whatever. But you know what? You could dine on that for days. You could dine on that for years. You go, I got to see him fly because you got the action figure in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back.
He flew all over my driveway. Yeah, no question.
This is the thing. People are like, what an obscure character. I'm like, nah, if we had an action figure, or like Steve Gluck used to be like, what's the big deal with Boba Fett? And I'm like, if you didn't he's on screen for 5 minutes. And I go, not our childhood screens. He was front and center in every team and every adventure. Yeah, he flew all over the place. And then in Empire Strikes Back, he just shoots in a hallway, says a couple cool lines. He tries to shoot Chewbacca, and Darth Vader goes, no, don't shoot Chewbacca. Jeez, this guy's nuts, and it's it's just a little bit. You got so much, and then you saw him fly for that moment and Return of the Jedi and land, and then immediately get killed. And I know people complain about that, and I get it, but it's all you had. Now you get 6 hours of Boba Fett flying over and over and over, and you get a whole TV show about him, and it's the greatest. And that is such a great, and I feel like Marvel has made that possible, that you could truly go geeky and go, no, I think there's enough interest that we can do a whole Boba Fett TV show and actually show him getting out of the Sarlacc pit. I mean, I can't believe we saw that, It's the same way with Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like, oh my God, it just reaches such a peak, and it's just, the pure joy of what I love about Marvel movies, and certainly Wolverine. I was never going to see this Wolverine, Paul, and all the flashback Wolverines. I got to see him in the
Okay.
orange and brown. Yeah.
I gotta say, size accurate Wolverine and
Oh.
Cavalrine floored me. I was like, these are two fantastic choices.
Great jokes.
Not that he's not just going to go around and see Wolverine, but the variety of Wolverines. The one on the X. I mean, Jesus.
And it's so funny.
Classic image.
Oh yeah, and the size accurate Wolverine is amazing because that works as a joke anyway. If you're a comic book fan, you go, that's how tall he was in the comic. But if you're not, Deadpool's just trying to find other Wolverines, and he comes across one that's really tiny.
Not Hugh Jackman at all. Yeah,
it's incredible. Yeah, that's Oh, and seeing him in the orange and brown, it's so fun. I love the orange and brown. And you know what's a really good comparison about the apology era of superhero movies versus this is they never put Wolverine in a yellow costume. And the scene where he does see a yellow costume in The Wolverine was a deleted outtake. No, get it out of there. Get it out of there. So really, this makes such a comment on that, or that the Logan X-Men Origins Wolverine version of Deadpool was this sort of like, no, make them all weird. You can't put him in a red costume. It'd be kind of weird. Make him some kind of scary monster sort of thing, and give him little. No, don't give him swords or whatever. Just make little Wolverine swords in his hands or whatever. And it's like, this is just such a comment on all of that. That it's like, no, now they can be in the full red costume. And I like the very first shot of Deadpool is his costume is red as fuck. It is because you go back 2 Deadpools, just like you go back 6 Spider-Mans, that color gets real dark, much more burgundy than red on him. And certainly, the Justice League, much more burgundy than red. And even the first Deadpool, a little more burgundy than red, just to make sure nobody's going to freak out about all the color. But in this one, the very first shot, I mean, it just looks like a child's drawing of Deadpool. It's so perfectly red and superhero-y. It's fantastic.
And by the time he pulls the cowl over, I was like, I forgot that could even be a thing.
Me too, and I'm the biggest Wolverine fan in the world, Paul.
Right?
That movie so distracts you with so much quality and so many great moments that I didn't even think about that. That could be a thing you would bitch about. And you go, well, they didn't put him in the costume fully, and then when so it's a surprise to me when he pulls that on. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's all I've ever wanted. It's all I've ever thought of. I'm like, how cool would that be? And I've forgotten it after all these years. And so when he puts it on, I'm literally just a child fanboy going, oh, that's right. And it looks so cool. And let's fucking go. And then, and I'll tell you what's so great after he does the cowl and then they beat up an entire street of Deadpools.
Well, you think as soon as they come out of that portal, right, and arrive, all the Deadpools, you're like, oh, good. Where are they going to go? They're going to fight? They've been doing that a lot lately. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, there's a fight towards the end where they're like, all these bad guys, where are they going to go to get out of this? Oh, they fight.
Yeah.
Like the fights that happen, even Thor: Love and Thunder, when he imbues all the kids with the power of Thor. Like, there's not going to be a fight here, right? Because there is.
Because it's a comic book adaptation, and that's how you do it. It's a comic book,
Yeah.
They're gone so literal with the comic book storytelling. It's insane. And and then the way they use the Madonna song, and it's all so elegant. Sounds like a weird word, but it is for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It somehow comes off quite elegant. The when he pulls the mask on, and of course that whole thing, and that's so funny. It's an R-rated movie, and there's so much blood. How can you? This is like a Quentin Tarantino superhero movie. I don't know how you can't be. I mean, anybody who was initially like, these Marvel movies or whatever, they're going to see it in 6 months and go, holy shit. Wow. Okay. Like it is exactly what you would want them to do that you would have complained about before. It's like, they'll never show blood. For example, The Wolverine, if you got the special director's cut, which I own, it has 40 more seconds in which whenever in the movie, when Wolverine hits someone and they just don't show the claws coming out the other side, they show the claws coming out the other side. That is a version you have to specially pay for. This whole movie is Wolverine as fuck. It's I just can't even. I walked out exhausted, Paul. Like I was just like, I just couldn't believe, I couldn't encapsulate what had happened. That's a rare thing for movies where you just walk in, and I know that part of that's being a big Wolverine fanboy and comic book fanboy and watching 36 movies in a row that they're just killing it to my exact specs, no notes for 36 movies. I mean, you know,
well, Jackman is now cemented legend as, you know, as a legend forever in the movies and heroes and comics spheres. But even more so, like, this movie's goofy, breaks the fourth wall, we're doing tons of jokes. There's like, and he does that monologue, you know, he does a monologue fireside with X-23, and it's just awesome. His delivery is awesome. The timing is awesome.
Yeah.
Having it at all is awesome. Then of course he shows up and is a fucking hero after that.
Because that's what heroes do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's You
weren't the right guy. You were never the right guy.
Yeah, right.
And he proves him wrong.
Until you were. Isn't that what the line?
Until you were, yeah. It is.
Yeah, because that is the Wolverine thing, is he's always the outsider. And this movie does that. It's like, you know, I never realized until I saw Deadpool and Wolverine how little Wolverine they did. I was so busy being so thankful to get any Wolverine at all in the X-Men movies, and any Wolverine at all. I mean, the first time I saw Wolverine in X-Men 99, I was like, whoa. I mean, that is just like seeing Superman for the first time on the screen. You know, I'm like, wow, but of course it's a guy in a shirt. He doesn't have his hair all fluffed up that much because they're like, they get put a little there, you know, just for the fans to know, you know. So when you look back on it, you're like, well, it's largely a guy in pants and a shirt with claws. Granted, and he is Wolverine. He's fantastic at it. But I never realized till this, like, oh, I was really robbed of a lot of Wolverine because most of what he did came out in the apology era of superhero movies, you know? And so for this one to be so unapologetic, to be a Wolverine movie, I mean, and the other thing is, Hugh Jackman was so good, and the Wolverine was so loved that he could never really be the down and dirty, I'm the best there is at what I do, bub, you know, drinking and whatever Wolverine. Well, you were never going to get that because we just loved him so much. And so he was already living at the X Mansion in X2. He wasn't even an outsider anymore. He was never an outsider after the first 40 minutes of the first movie. That's robbing him of almost all the Wolverine, you know, not to mention he's never really in a Wolverine costume. So that's what the Wolverine gives you. The Logan gives that to you too, but it also gives you it in a kind of an apology era way. I mean, genius as it is, it's a fantastic movie. But it's like, well, it's the end of Wolverine. It's the end times. It's like, it's an alt Wolverine. It's like, you've seen all those classic Wolverines. We're going to give you a different one. You're like, I don't know if I've seen that much real Wolverine, you know? It's like I always said about Ang Lee's Hulk, like, and it's the first Hulk movie that's ever been made. And I love all the interviews where like, we're not going to do your standard Hulk. Somebody beats him up and he turns. No, it's a psychological way he gets angry. You go, hey, don't do an alt Hulk first, right?
Yeah.
There's no canon. Yeah, I know you're breaking the canon, but they kept doing that sort of thing. I'm like, all right, we're breaking the canon. But so just watching this one, I was just like, oh my God, it is my Wolverine. It's the angry Wolverine. It's the Wolverine that's the outsider. And of course, you get all the other ones in all the variants and stuff. It's just, it is straight from heaven. And when he pulls that mask on, good Lord, I couldn't believe I could get more excited. I, at no moment in that movie, thought, well, you know what this movie could use. You know,
exactly.
I mean, like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When it happened, we just went,
it's so good. And here's like my favorite tiny little thing in that too. So he puts the mask on, they go through the portal, they come into the TVA, right? I guess is where they go after that. Mm-hmm. Now is exactly where nobody would forgive them if he took the mask off. And he doesn't. He leaves it on. In fact, when the machine blows his clothes off, only one piece of costume, well, his pants stay, but it, you know, it blows his shirt off. Like the mask stays. And so I love that moment when he walks into the TVA. And next time you watch this, Paul, just really love that the movie has now established a new paradigm and we're walking into the last act, right? Obviously, the last act very clearly begins there. And he walks in, and it's just Deadpool looking like Deadpool, Wolverine looking like Wolverine, and they basically walk into like the Commissioner Gordon scene. There's just a little bit of Adam West there, where they're just coming in and it's like, okay, so what's the situation here? What do we need to help with? And they're both just
I know
like,
just what you're talking about. Yeah.
oh, and I'm just like, this now feels like an Adam West Wolverine movie, not in the like cheesy
right.
way.
No, just in everyday crime fighting.
That's the great thing about Batman. He just walks around like that and talks like he's not dressed like that, because he doesn't need to apologize for looking like a superhero. Now, I know that's all part of the joke, but as a kid, there was no joke there. That was Batman, right? As a kid, that was Batman. Batman was not funny when I was a kid. I got it now when I'm an adult. And so looking at that, I'm just like, that's just pure joy that they're just walking in. What's the problem, Commissioner? I'm Wolverine and this is Deadpool. Just like you would in the comics. They would never, in no comic, have they ever had to explain why they're wearing a costume. Ever. Has any comic ever had to go, I'm sorry, I'm wearing this ridiculous getup? No. And now the movies don't either. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Pure joy.
Well, we've got like 10 shorts out of today's show.
I believe the subtitle for this one was Adam goes on too long about Deadpool and Wolverine. But I got to tell you, and I make this an honorary thing. My favorite movie of all time. I put it up there because I'm like, if you ask me today, that's the answer.
It's the culmination of a lot of things.
It is. It really is. And it's a culmination of a lot of things that movie does good. If you're an Airplane fan, you like Deadpool and Wolverine. If you're a Deadpool fan, if you're a Wolverine fan, if you're an action fan. Here's the other cool thing. When they
sci-fi,
fight...
yeah, everything.
Sci-fi. And Paul. Okay, keep the spoilers up because I don't want anybody to know this punchline if they're like they've tuned out. Everybody's been on Twitter. Everybody who's watching this has seen the movie. But anyway, Paul, you love a good joke, right? You're a funny guy.
I do enjoy a fine humorous.
You enjoy a joke every once in a while. I mean, the best joke, one of the best jokes I've seen in a movie. Oh, sure. I can gently tap the fourth wall as well.
Oh, yes. The
proposal. And then long pause and turn back.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that director Sean Levy is so good is because you know how that was done. Give me a little longer pause the next time you do it. A little longer. Actually, give me the longest one and we'll just edit out when you turn back or whatever.
So now
the proposal. I can gently tap the fourth wall. My God, it's so funny. And then Deadpool actually goes, is that what I sound like? I mean, nice pool.
Nice pool, yeah.
God damn, that's genius. Come on. So good.
Yeah, you're right.
So good. I can gently tap the fourth wall. The proposal. I mean, and the room went up for grabs in the theater I was in because that joke is so well executed. And it's just relentless. Here comes the dog. That's funny. And now he's looking at his face. That's too funny. That's two different types of jokes.
Okay, wait a second. Solve something for me since I've seen this twice.
Yeah.
At the end when he reunites with Dogpool, he goes, oh, come here. Does he call him, apologies, a little cunt skin?
Oh, I don't know.
That's what I heard. I swear to God.
No. I don't know if that's what he says. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, but that's the thing. There's too many jokes. You have to see it more than once if you enjoyed it the first time, I guess. But wow. Yeah. Well, I could go on, and I have. But hey, and one thing I love about Marvel is when they put splash pages. You know what a splash page is, Paul? Yeah. In a comic book. Traditionally in Marvel, it's the very first page, with just all kinds of stuff going on in one full page.
Yeah, it's a one frame. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll often punctuate somewhere else in it too, where, like open up the next page and it's just like all out chaos or whatever. The great one is Avengers Age of Ultron, where they all jump in the air and it freezes them all in that sort of splash page.
Yeah.
But if you look Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, I mean, I haven't seen it in a little bit now, but I'm like, there are like 6 great splash pages in that. This one has a ton of them as well, but the jumping through the back of the bus with the, in the midair with the claws and everything. It's like, oh my God, it's just like pure heaven.
The jumping through the portal off of the void.
Yep. Yeah. And the other thing they didn't do, which I now look at as a chicken shit, apology era superhero move. There used to be a thing where you could never do the white eyes, right? That just wasn't accepted. And you'd hear every time they would put a mask on someone, you'd hear the Bryan Singer or whoever it was, and they would talk about like, we know the eyes are the window to the soul. So what we really want to do is have really wide and whatever. And so sometimes you see these superhero masks that are like mostly eye or whatever. And I love that, like, they clearly, that annoys them as well. It made this movie because they're like, nah, we're going white eyes. Yeah, no, white eyes Wolverine and white eyes Deadpool, because it's a comic book movie and that's what they look like.
Is this what you would call a splash page?
Oh, where do you find this shit? That's so funny.
Again, if someone shares it with me, I share it here. But that's the other real. Is there a character called Fisto?
There was a character called Fisto.
Well, there you go.
That's so funny.
He fisted hard.
That's so good.
Well, I mean, we've run out of time. That's kind of our show.
Yeah, exactly. The Dark Knight did the white eyes. There's a little tiny reference at the end. Meanwhile, every comic book we've ever read with Batman, he has white eyes. You know, it's like I love that. Or, you know, even going back to Batman Forever, when he gets the Sonic suit, and when he does the thing, I'm like, oh, right on. But of course, it's just 2 minutes at the end. You know, the rest now get him out of that stupid suit. You know,
I forgot. Yeah, Batman used when he was using like the X-ray or sonar vision
modification. Yeah, whatever. But you haven't tested it yet. Today's a good day to try.
Let's leave you with a couple more fun Harrison Ford things.
Success. Get your spoilers off there.
Oh, let's get that out of there.
How do we? Where is that? Oh yeah.
Be like Harrison Ford.
Be like Harrison Ford.
Is this? That's stupid.
That is pretty stupid. It should be silver, right? Maybe Captain America and the Falcon. Nicely done. Wow.
We cut out before that line happened in the trailer we showed earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. But you'll never be Steve Rogers. And he says, "I'm not," or something like that, and then cut to him with the wings. Yeah. So good. The in the style of what is that?
Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run. Right? Cannonball Run. Oh my gosh.
Also, it should be noted, while we were away, Harrison Ford had his 82nd birthday. Just crazy.
Wow.
That's him coming out. We saw him before, but like he's filming Shrinking again in Pasadena. Yeah. So season 2 of that's on the way. I mean, I refer once again to we'll cover Harrison Ford's career all the way up to Call of the Wild. And now,
I know. That was it.
Thunderbolt, Shrinking, 1923. You can't stop the guy.
I mean, it seemed like he was slowing down. Of course, we started our show, and part of the reason you're like, well, I'm sorry we haven't kept up with some of our show, but we did start it during the quarantine. Like it's life is resumed. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the craziest things was all those frozen billboards during the quarantine in movie theaters and the movies that were on them, and one of them was Call of the Wild, and it just seemed like Harrison Ford was slowing down. I just can't believe. I give us credit. I think we manipulate our own reality with passion and love, and our love of Harrison Ford has made another Indiana Jones movie happen, and it's gotten him into the MCU, and it's all thanks to us, the Ford Fiesta, which sometimes goes on and on about Deadpool and Wolverine, but I swear I won't talk that much about it next week.
Well, there's still a ton of stuff here to share. I'll just share a couple more and then we'll go. First of all, Greedo died. And so not only was this news, but it was also news to me that it was a woman.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Met her at the Comic-Con. I mean, I've seen her sign stuff at the Comic-Con. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was a big deal when we found out that. And there was 2 Greedos because there was the reshoot, which was on La Brea, and I can't figure out where. The reshoot of I think the Han Solo and Greedo thing was shot like on La Brea, like right down here, La Brea and Santa Monica. I can't get the exact address.
I think you brought that up before.
Yeah, I can't get the exact address, but it's right down there. My closest theory is there's that little auto wrecker place like just south of like the Best Buy there or whatever, or which looks like it could have been like same sort of space that you would use for a studio, but
who knows? I mean, that's the thing about giving them film locations tours. So many things are gone, especially 50 years ago, or we're approaching now for Star Wars.
That's Wade 81. Oh, 1 year younger than Harrison Ford. Oh, that's cool.
Which brings me to this emotional shot. There you go.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Oh, what a heartbreaker that
Points
is.
to whoever made that, though. It's quite moving.
Yeah. Oh, that's just.
But let's not forget, while we're doing this, the news continues, and Kamala Harris got her VP candidate in Bail Organa, known anti-fascist. So,
yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks, huh?
Yeah, I don't even want to go on about all that.
Yeah,
nonsense.
I know, but wow.
And last thing I'll share is, this is weird. Well, no, okay, I got to share this first of all. 93%. I need to go. Silent Jay and Silent Bob on whoever did the 7%.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. Fuck off.
Right. I know. Well, and somebody, but you know what? Know the difference between. I think this is going to keep me sane for the rest of my life. Whoever said this, know the difference between a movie critic and a person just saying things.
All right.
Would it have been hard to convince you that there's somebody out there that doesn't like Raiders of the Lost Ark with all the dumbasses walking around? Yeah, I bet there is. Bet you there's someone that thinks that movie's because somebody posted again, just a person on Twitter. Everyone acts like they're posting Roger Ebert's thoughts on the thing, and it's just like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Like one of our friends who will be talking about movies will repost oh, I can't agree with this, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? It's so funny. It's like, well, yeah, I guarantee there's someone who has a dumb opinion about it was the Terminator, and somebody, some Gen Zer was like, oh, what a boring movie. Okay, who is that? Of course somebody thinks that's boring. There's dummies all over the place. That's why I keep a very tight group of movie geeks, all of which are still watching. God bless you.
Biggest problem with Terminator went longer than 2.5 minutes.
Maybe they just don't like. I think that's a good point.
And then I'll share this.
Or maybe
as well.
They do like snakes.
There was an ad for Sabrina, but why did it look like this?
What the?
I don't know.
Okay, watch Sabrina. Oh,
I mean, Tubi must also have some OJ doc, but
right.
Make the graphics meet the text there, if you don't mind.
Oh, what a different movie Sabrina would be with O.J. Simpson as the lead.
As Linus.
Linus Larrabee.
All right, speaking of the Ford Fiesta and Sabrina, we're getting there. But this week, we will post the Working Girl Ford Fiesta, so please go check it out. It's great. Bibiani comes and brings it, as he did with More American Graffiti. Yeah. And then we're going to start to hopefully get these things coming out regularly once again, now that we're back from our summer hiatus. And so, yeah, Last Crusade right behind that. Presumed Innocent right behind that. I'm not going to say they're weekly because I also want to give time for each one to sort of have its play out there and people find it and listen to it, or listen on YouTube, which is still an audio podcast, but we put it on YouTube so you can find all our stuff out there. And just go to themovieguys.net if you really want to find everything that we're up to. It's all there.
Yes.
And the shorts too will be coming. Yeah.
Today's show is not indicative of the podcast.
No, we'll have a lot more Harrison Ford stuff. There's a lot here. This. Let's see. Did you see the Dykstra Flex display down at the Motion Picture Academy Museum?
No. So this must be a new thing. Because the last time I was at the museum, they didn't have it. So I have to see this. Is this
it is, unfortunately, it is come and gone. Yeah, they had a demonstration in the lobby Spielberg exhibit hall of the Dykstra Flex. Off camera, what you can't see are the refrigerator-sized computers that made it run.
Wow.
2 or 3 of them. And they had a video constantly playing about how they were filming Dykstra, talking about how it works and just how they did all the flybys of spaceships in the original Star Wars. And then what made me nuts was apparently Dykstra went and did a demonstration of it last weekend. That would have been cool to go and see. But I had a full weekend, so I couldn't.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. But boy, that I would like to make a regular not homage. What's that thing you when you walk to a holy site? One of those pilgrimage. A pilgrimage. That's what it was. I would like to make a regular pilgrimage because boy, I finally made it to the Academy Museum, and I was like, I could be here all day and all week, and How often do they change all their exhibits up? Like every month, something.
Well,
new, right?
the John Waters exhibit closed or is closing this week.
Oh,
And so
that
something
was
new will be
big.
coming in. You know, they just opened the tribute to the Jewish founders of Hollywood.
Okay.
And after being sort of scolded for not having that when it opened,
Yeah.
because they're so important, you know, Louis B.
Yeah,
Mayer and all them.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so they're changing it quite a bit. Every time I go there, there's at least something new.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, and I don't go like every week or anything, but you got to go and just see the movies too. I was there recently for the 4K of Amadeus. Incredible.
Oh, wow.
You know, including Saul Zentz's nephew, who worked on it very young as a PA, telling stories about how they were making it in communist Prague, I think,
Whoa.
to substitute for Vienna, and all sorts of crazy stories with that. The 4K basically restoration took longer than the shoot. But
Really?
So anyway, there's never not a great story when I see a Q&A at half these screenings, you know.
Saul Zentz, the producer of the Mosquito Coast, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct, sir.
I knew there was a connection there. I had to look that up real quick, but yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I'll save these other things for next time. But go out, watch our new stuff as it posts. Please share it around and have fun. That's the point of all.
And
this
thanks for
shit,
coming by
really.
today and listening to us go on and engaging in the conversation about Deadpool and Wolverine. The one thing I know is that everybody that popped on today and talked everything like that, you are exactly the people that get that movie and must have loved it as well.
We're just talking about another film in Harrison Ford's Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I mean, of course, the trailer before that was Captain America:
Correct.
Brave New World,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Right. All parts of Harrison Ford's Marvel Cinematic Universe could be discussed now on this show. And so,
Get the fuck out of my house.
that's good advice. All right, we're out of here. All right, we'll see you next week.
love you.
1, 2, 3.
I didn't know the truth was mine. I never meant for you to feel this way. Drive! I never meant for you to feel this way. Can't touch you from fiction. Can't touch you from fiction.
Thank you. Thank you.